Hello, this is Gerald Jovamas. This is a video which I'm also intending to make in German as well when I find the time, but this one is the English version of two words which are German, TEIL and WEILE, which are a bit comparable, how they sound, to the English word TEIL and WEILE. And I will show you the difference, or how it is written differently, it's pronounced somewhat differently, but they sound similar, but they have different meanings, and I will explain then how you can recognize them by the letters alone. Letters alone have a specific position simply because we distinguish them by recognizing certain features which we always recognize. By recognizing a time part actually, which for some letters is very short, so they are also related to associations that you have. Okay, somewhere in space I can start to do something with it. Another part is when you focus from right to left, where you actually go to look for the differences, so you associate them differently, so you compare them with focuses of things that proceed. These kind of letters where you also hear a certain time frame where there are some differences. So that's your attention. There your attention is going to. Or you have the 1, 2, 3 rule, where you have more elements that you focus, or longer periods of focus, where it's not very clear where it's going to, but you more pay attention to, okay, but what's the general thing? What's the focus? What's your general focus? And that's also another kind of focus where some letters are associated with. They're more about restrictions. The second category is more about what you follow up, and the first kind of a category, which are very pointed, is more about your choice of letters and of direction, of elements actually that you're going to work with. That's the kind of association that you have. Each letter has a specific position, which is always the same, and by combining these positions we can actually describe almost anything with it. And that's what the theory is about. And okay, here's another example. TEIL, for instance, the first word, they have all letters which are in the middle category, as if they have already a distinction between right and left, but they start with T, so they start with really a point, a middle point. So I'm pointing out something in space. I want to have a distinction somewhere, which the TEIL, which means a part, is also about that. And let's continue in the next phrase. I'll put the letters in the right positions. So I have the E on top, which is about the kind of definitions of your selective process, general selective process. The A is about the focus about what is difference here. The L and the T are about focus in space. Let's build that up and let's tell you how you interpret such positions. Underneath are the starting points. The first three letters are the starting points, really the complete starting points, the different sorts of starting point that you can have. Here is the letter T in the middle. So it's the starting point of really focusing upon the material itself as what you see where it is in space. You have that just a little bit away from the edges. You see, okay, here I find the material, I find the place, I find the definition, I find what it is that I want to start with. L is a bit further away into two positions. It's the formation process of these two positions, because you all focus into a middle, but it's a bit away from the middle. You're starting to notice differences. Differences compared to the middle are the things that in space are formed. That's the L. So we start with a reference of wanting to find a place, a placement, a definition, and it ends with a form, which actually is the definition of a form in my result. And in between is A and E, which will describe where I have to look for that. The A and E, okay, there are two positions. The A is then about directions, the direction of what makes a difference. E is really the middle of finding directions. The directions are found into the things that show differences, because that's why we use right and left. We look for the differences in a time schedule. That's what we do. We look for differences. Otherwise, we just say, okay, here's the point and that's it. It's fixed. With the letter E, it's about looking for what is different. In the E is looking for what is different. And the I is even more about in the general sense. No, not just looking for what is different, if I have to add that as well. It's looking for what is selectively different. And it is pointing out my selection. So it is a relative selection frame, so that I say, okay, it's bigger than, it could be bigger and so on, but I'm going to select what works for me. That's the kind of attitude that is behind the letter E. And here I have a combination of E and I, so I'm going to look for, I'm going to select my focus for what makes a difference for me. So this change plus a selectiveness and also in time. So after a while I will see it, I will see what it is. After realizing what are the difference, I notice what is the difference. But it's not just that, it's not just E and I, because we do not pronounce E, we pronounce it differently. We pronounce it as I, TEIL. And there is the background reference, so you have the idea what you need to do. You already said, making a selection, but because of the sound of pronunciation is I, it also tells you actually in the background what it is about. A is actually that discovering process in the beginning, my starting point reference. I need a starting point. I need something to work with. It's my main focus. It's about a thing or an objective thing. I want to make that definition starting from T. I want to make it as really something I can focus upon. And so I want to discover what it is with A. Discovering it in the selective way, of course, I want to see what it is about. I also, with a double A sound in Y, going to somewhere else, it is, I have this A in the beginning, somewhere else means then in this case, looking at what is different. So it is my foundation, but my foundation is not just I make a selection and that's it. No, I look for the selection that I say. No, I look for the selection which is different. The I sound already goes to somewhere else. The A usually is, okay, I have a starting point and I stay there. But because of the E and the I differences, that's how you learn to interpret it correctly. You have already all focusing upon not just the thing that you start with, start to use the thing which is different. That's what TEIL or part is also about. It's that part which is different. That's the thing which you're going to select as a foundation. So what is different is then selected with L as a last letter. It is also more focusing upon a form, like I already told you, and you distinct it well in space and you want to start with it, to work with it. All these letters are exactly at the place where they should be. So here it is, what is different is selected, and it's selected also physically as a physical thing, which is selected out of my focuses, my directed focuses. Let's compare it, of course, with TEIL, which is actually pronounced the same, but it is written as I, then the L, and then the E. So that means that the E, seeing the differences, it comes after the L. So here the selective process, which I had in A plus A, is going towards, actually I make a selection in towards L, and from L I have something that is different. I have after the formation C something that has formed itself as something different. Though there is almost like it's an extra form, an extra difference. So that's what you have with order of words. Is the same thing as you have with order of letters. In order of words, of course, you also have that thing. If you say I'm going to say I have something on top of the door, or I have the door on top. You see, if you change the order of words, the image changes. The same thing with letters. If you have the letter about differences after the form, it's the form itself which will make a difference, instead of looking before something is formed towards the differences. See, you hear the different, you realize the difference how it is. So here I have with the TEIL an extra form, an extra difference. And how will that look like? Again, we have to go to the T as a first starting point, ending with that makes a difference. We know that a TEIL is this horizontal and vertical. The TEIL is has a form like this. The L is into the vertical, the A is into the horizontal, but still it is going with, and the T is the horizontal and vertical together. Going to select something out of it can still be understood if you think about it, that you can take that part out of it in that same selective process of T. I would say T makes that difference. Here I can find it. L is in the 2 dimensions. Here I can find it selectively, and A is here here's the change. Here's what is different. Over a whole floor, it's all the horizontal verticals and all the points of distinctions with T that you can have. If you have one of these selections in the 2 dimensions, which the letter L is always expressing, you have one of the tiles. So in that way, you can understand that it still fits quite well with that reference frame. Let's go to the next word, which is WEILE. Eine Weile means a while, a certain period actually, that something continues. Also, that is with I sound. So I keep the I here, the A here, and the L. But it starts with the W. The W has a different function. It actually has that approach of movement, of change in time. It has that approach. I'm looking towards what is going to make a difference after a while, as you already see it. Not immediately, but in a goal, the 1, 2, 3 rule applies here as well. It's the end result, and you're going to follow up what the end results will be with the W again. And you also take your time to adapt, because that's what you will do with in the general sense with the letters from the second category. You go to adapt towards the changes. You're going to pay attention to the changes. Here at the end, you will try to achieve it as well. And with the W, you will also take, in a way, you will also take the time to adapt, which an association which will fit to that as well. So let's have the letters in the right order. WEILE. Now here, first the W, then the E, and then the E as a selectiveness. The A, which is in the background, actually should move along. It's not at the rightful place. It should move along a little bit. So let's do that. When I have WEILE, my focus is going towards to see what shall I do for the things that are different, which you do in general with W. So to look for what can be different there at the end. There where the things are different. And let's see what I can do there with E. Let's see what changes there are. Let's see with E what selections I can do there. I will focus upon where I will try to start with it as well. Where can I make a start there? WEILE will it be? Where I will focus upon the elements. What can I do here? What can I use to not just to start with, but also to continue with the A, and also what will continue to change. The E itself as a sound, as a letter in the background, will make that selection in what is going on in time, in the time process. There's a time process in E. In E it will make a selection, and it will make a selection of what I can do with it, what kind of form will come out of it. Because then will come the L. So I will make first the selection, and then the form again will be shown. The form will be shown, what will come out of it, and it has, with L and then the E after that, not just its physical appearance, how it looks like, but also has, with an extra little E, also a certain endurance in how and what is formed there. So in all what I'm trying to grasp at, to use it as a starting point, it also will have a certain continuation in its forming process. That's where it begins to fit with WEILE, a certain WEILE that it's also showing its form, not just at one moment, not just in the discovery of what is different, but it also continues a little bit longer. Let's go now to the last example, which is while, in the English word, same thing. It starts with the W, which again is almost like, okay, let's focus upon what we will try to achieve, what we will try to see, what we need to do. Let's try to follow it up with a W, followed by H, which in this case you don't pronounce. We have to see what is H about. H is about all the positive, prosperous conditions in which something, like you have the big wave in the background, is able to stay and continue longer. That's that kind of focus or frame of focus, which you say, okay, but here it can stay a while. So I can continue to give that attention also for a longer time, which again fits well with that while. Again, I have to move up from W to H to E to L. The E will make that selection, so I will be able to follow it up longer, in which I will make a selection, and a selection where that form will show itself. And with the A, and again, this form again will be ongoing. It will almost will show its selection on its own, its formation on its own. And with the A to the L, it again has an idea of as if it continues to grow, as if it continues to show itself for a while. So I hope you enjoyed this one, thanks to the positions, so you can really discover quite quickly what letters are about. I'm getting a bit better than in the educational way to show it very quickly and deal with the order of the letters in a word as well, because that one it has to be done as quickly as possible, as correct as possible, as much as you can see it just in one go. And I hope I exceeded in this one as well. So hopefully the German version will not take too long anymore, but I hope to publish that one as well later. Thanks again for watching. Bye.